Is it too late
for
filming?
for what?
Feels a bit dark. This is midsummer in
the UK.
UK. Great. No, Z6 III has now been officially announced.
Yeah.
And it's got a very teasing trailer.
Just before we get into that, though,
Yeah.
I haven't been able to get hold of you for about 3 weeks because
I know, actually,
you've been living in a high 24/7, off the grid, going out hunting for food, presumably.
Yeah. I've been taking my dinner there.
Yeah,
I've been a little camping.
He's gone off on one.
I've been enjoying my wildlife photography. Well, that's because we're in the British summertime now. It's nearly summer solstice, so It's 9:30, 10 o'clock in the evening. It's still light.
Right.
And it's relatively warm. It's enough. And I've been really enjoying it. Yeah.
I've got my fingers crossed that even though it's June and the weather's rubbish, it's because we haven't got to the solstice yet. Summer hasn't started, and it will very soon.
Oh, okay. That's optimistic. I like that.
That's what I'm hanging on to.
I like optimism. That's good.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry, the Z6 III, yeah.
Which it goes in line with the summer solstice.
See, I've lost interest now in that. I'm hoping I have.
Well, that's why I said, is it too late?
Yeah.
Because I
was holding on.
Yeah.
And then I gave in.
A really long time, actually.
Yeah, and got my Z8. Very happy with it.
Yeah. Well, that's why I kind of base it on our situation. So I feel sorted with my cameras. I got the Z8, which I'm really happy with, and a secondary camera. I got the ZF. Well, the Z8 was being repaired, but different story.
Yeah.
But I'm fully sorted. I've got my Z6 I, which is over there filming. Hi. It's doing a great job for what I want. So I've got 3 cameras. Really, I feel sorted.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, the ZF. The only problem with it for event photography is the grip. The
ergonomics is the user experience.
Yeah.
The UX really is not. It's quite different to say the Z8.
Yeah. And the Z6.
Yeah.
So but I'm fine at it.
You've got used
both
to it,
really high-powered cameras.
Yeah.
And
the ZF is good value.
Fantastic.
For the features it's got in it. So
it's really overpowered. Well, that kind of brings me on to what will they put in the Z6 III that we haven't got already then?
Well, that teaser goes on. It's obviously got RAW pre-capture, presumably.
Hopefully. But that will be dropped down to the others eventually.
Do you reckon?
Well, how can it leave the Z8 and Z9 out? Because like they did with the ZF, they have introduced features into it, then it dropped down, dropped up to the other cameras. So they'll probably do the same.
I haven't used pre-capture, but is it just JPEG pre-capture in the Z8?
Yeah, that's why I don't use it, because it's not good enough quality. Yeah. So they're going to put something in it that the others haven't got with it.
It's also interesting, though, that you noticed the other day that they've reduced the price. Everybody's reducing the price of the Z8 by about 20%.
Yeah.
So now instead of 4,000 UK Great British pounds, you can get it for 3,200.
Yeah. A year ago, I got my Z8 because that was the launch about this time last year, was it?
Yeah.
For £4,000, but I traded in my Z7 II and got a big chunk off it anyway. But yeah, that was £4,000, and recently at the trade show you got it at 3,200.
200 and something. Yeah, thinking that was an amazing bargain, which it was at the time.
It is.
Yeah.
And now there's some promotions on for that about that price anyway. They probably thought people who wanted a Z8 have got one. People who are on the fence with it a bit, we're deciding to get one. Now they can because they can afford it better. Maybe that's the strategy.
Yeah.
But basically, if the Z6 III comes out, it is coming out, I'm going to wait a year because...
Yeah. On the basis that the price will go down by 20% if it follows the same pattern.
I think so. I'm worried, actually a bit worried for Nikon that they've missed the boat with it, because we've been saying this for years actually, that we just needed a Z6 III back in the beginning.
Yeah.
I didn't particularly need a Z8.
No.
And ZF was, again, making do because I wanted a secondary camera with the same system. If they released the Z6 III first, we all would have got one, without a doubt. That would have been perfect for both of us. Okay, for wildlife, it's great having the Z8, the megapixels, but most of the time I don't need that.
Assuming the Z6 III is going to be cheaper than the Z8, though.
Yeah,
I reckon £2,500, perhaps.
I don't think it would touch 3.
No, so say it's 2.5, which then makes it 700 quid cheaper than the current price of the Z8. So it's whatever it's got in it, the Z8 still has to be on overall generally have more features and better, hasn't it? So, and as far as I'm concerned, I've got the Z8, very happy with it. if I'm using two cameras, which I do quite a bit of the time for events, I'm still using my Z6 II, but I'm happy with that. I'm used to it. I'm still back button focusing on it, single point focus. Don't laugh at me. It works. As long as you can focus it like that, the results are just absolutely 100% fine.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's sure.
So yeah, it would be, and I'd had sort of thought about a ZF but the ergonomics is so different. I think I'd rather put it with the Z6 II because it's much closer to the Z8.
I get that.
ZF, so.
I think because my sole camera was the ZF for a while, I got used to it really quickly.
Because you're waiting for your Z8 to be repaired, basically.
6 months. And so I got used to the ZF. So now I've got, obviously the Z8's easy to use. So I've got used to my mind's fully
You've got
tuned.
great autofocus on both of them.
It's the same autofocus.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say the Z8's any better than the ZF at all. Even for wildlife with the bird option, I don't think it's that much different.
I'm hoping that my gas will be easily controllable on Monday when it
Well,
comes
this is the thing. It hasn't been announced yet. We don't know the specs. We don't know what it's going to do. I think Nikon really have to pull it out the park here because I don't think...
And to be honest, if it's around £2,500, if I had that available, I'd probably rather just go out and get a 100-400 or another lens or something rather than rush out to... Because, I'm happy with both my bodies, so just because something else comes along doesn't mean that what you've already got is suddenly rubbish, does it? So,
well, that's the other thing. If I was... Depending on the price, it'll be interesting because would it be worth the jump to get the Z8 in case you wanted the megapixels like me? Sometimes you want wildlife. I cherish every megapixel count I've got because. So
you're assuming the Z6 III will still be 24 megapixels, yeah?
I think it will be because they want the high ISO capability and the stack sensor. I think that would be the only difference. Will be the megapixel count.
Okay.
I can't imagine what else they'll take away from the Z8 to make it. It's like the Z6 and Z7.
The price,
Z6 and Z7, the only difference was the megapixels.
Yeah.
Z6 was a bit better in low light and a few other features, but generally it's... So I think it'd be the same system. But if it was for me, I'd still go for the Z8 because the capability of it is...
It'll be interesting.
Really, really interesting. But yeah, there'll be a lot of videos out there saying...
From all the proper YouTubers.
I've got it now, I'm just about to release the button as soon as they can.
Yeah.
And they'll be...
It's amazing, you've got to go and buy the latest camera.
You have to buy this camera.
Just so Nikon give us on the next new one when it's pre-production.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of... I have to release a video about ultra mini things and about this whole change of inward looking at how people view cameras now. And I kind of see through it a bit more, especially being on the inside.
Yeah.
How it works and how you are hyped into it. And that goes on to people. But like we've said for a long time, there's two different categories. The gear acquisition syndrome, the gas. It's like collections, like people who collect cars, stamps, watches. It's a different kind of hobby. I think photography and collecting gear. I love technology and gear, and I'm guilty of getting.
Oh yeah, I think we all are. Right. It's interesting. I did an event at the weekend, which was a local run, 10k run. Okay. Standing next to me by the finish line was a professional photographer, right? 2 cameras, both Nikons. Guess what he was using?
DSLRs, DX50.
So the main ones were, I think, did they get as far as D6? He had 2 D3s. So that is like, I don't know, a 10-year-old DSLR probably. Full frame professional camera.
Those cameras are extremely expensive.
But he probably hasn't even looked at mirrorless.
No.
Because he's got 2 cameras that are doing what he needs to do. And his results will be absolutely spot on 100%.
But then I really enjoy the mirrorless autofocus.
Oh yeah, we do, yeah.
For weddings and events, it really has revolutionised the way I...
But he won't be sitting there on Monday thinking... I wonder what the Z6 III is going to be like. He won't even know about it.
So when this Z6 III comes out, I'll be really interested to see what it does. Without a doubt, I'll be watching, all the specs and stuff.
I mean, I was flicking between video and photos as you do, and they are brilliant for doing that. I mean, he would not have been able to do that, full stop. But then he was just there for stills. It was interesting. One of the other guys I was working with had a Canon R5C. And I looked that up. The C is because it's mainly for the videographers. It builds the back of the body out, incorporates a fan to make sure that it's always cool. But he said switching between stills and video, it takes between 8 and 10 seconds.
What?
Yeah.
That's
Which would
madness.
feel like a lifetime, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's a current Canon camera, about $3,500, I think, something like that. So, interesting, wasn't it?
Blimey. Because like, most of the time I do videos in stills,
You don't think twice about
I need it instant.
So,
But I wonder how much the market, how many people have been waiting for the Z6 III and have stuck waiting and are happy to...
there'll be a whole load of people that will pre-order it as soon as it's launched.
Yeah.
Because...
If they need it or not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Right,
yeah. Well, it's hard to say you need it. They'll want it.
Yeah.
Because it's
And
the latest
and
camera.
that's justifiable. That's fine.
Yeah.
As long as people get recognise there's the different things going on here. You don't need it. You want it. In other news, well, about a month or two ago, Nikon got in touch with us, didn't they, about possibly borrowing us.
Yes. Have they changed their phone number? Or have they lost your phone number or email address?
After 3 phone calls, making sure I'm okay with my well-being and everything's so good, and trying to arrange us to get lenses and stuff to burn, they completely dropped off. Nothing. I think I messaged every 2 weeks with reminder emails, and they haven't replied to any of them. And so that's...
Well, there you go.
That's it. That's over. Thanks, Nikon.
Yeah.
Again, another unfulfilled promise there. But a bit disappointed with that. But we've got lots of stuff coming through anyway, so we've got plenty. Okay, so we're looking forward to it. We'll do another video when the specs are released, discussing what we like and what we don't like. Discussing
the camera that we won't have seen or touched or possibly need. But
I think I think a lot of these videos, I think with YouTubers, I watch a lot of YouTube because I'm always editing and it's on my second screen.
Yeah.
So I'm not particularly watching something to buy it.
No,
I like the conversation.
Yeah.
I like the discussion, and that's what we provide as well, hopefully. Yes. Right, okay. See you next time.
See you next time.
Right.